was a bit more stressful than I thought. Hey there, peeps! Detective Uwu here. If you can see as the title says, I have the entire NFL schedule in front of me from weeks 1 all the way to week 18 through the Super Bowl. That's right. We're not just going to be doing a just the regular season. We're going to be predicting the entire postseason. It's going to be quite hard because we haven't even gotten through the dead season of football. We haven't gotten through summer yet. We haven't even started training camp yet. So it's going to be a bit tougher to do this. But you know what? The NFL schedule came out yesterday. I usually do this on my own thing, but I thought at least this year, why not at least try to live stream it to you guys? See what my thought process is for all of this. And at the end of the day, we'll figure out, will the Eagles repeat? Will the Chiefs gain the crown back? Will some team like the Bills or the Ravens, the Lions, the 49ers, or one of them finally break through, take the crown, and become Super Bowl champions of Super Bowl 60? Let's see. We'll have to see where my predictions go. It's not gonna be an easy thing. I'm no expert at this whatsoever. I just know a lot about football. It's something I'm very passionate about. Something I grew up with. But yeah, we're gonna. I guess also this is like literally just me being bored. Um, and also I needed a break from studying. I really did. There's two finals tomorrow. They're both really tough, and I just need a break from studying right now. Keep my mind off things. Don't worry, I'm not gonna be doing this like the rest of the night or whatnot. This is gonna be like the That's a really hot take, Pika, from right off the bat. That's a really, really hot take. Um, we're gonna have to see where this goes, but yeah, as you can see, as I make these predictions, these are gonna update on the side. We got the AFC on the left, NFC on the right. And I think the way this website works, the playoff predictors website works, the one seed, like the divisions are going to be like changing along, like as the one seed is always going to be up here through four down here for both sides. But yeah, we're going to see how this goes through the entire season. Um, and yeah, it's just me today. I really did not tell anyone I was going to be doing this. But yeah, I think with I do okay. I guess one more thing before I start. I am gonna stream tomorrow. I'm gonna be joining some friends for some Uno. It's gonna be the last thing I do in dorms before I move out for the summer. So yeah, I hope you all will be there when that comes. But yeah, we're gonna get started. I think what we should start with is the Thursday night game. I'm not gonna do scores, by the way. I know there's like an option to like do scores like here. Like I can just like type like this is just to piss Andrew off. This is just to piss him off. But no, that's not my real prediction. But yeah, I'm not gonna do score predictions because that is way too complicated. That it's you would the only reason anyone would ever use scores is to like get to like the seventh or eighth tiebreaker according to the NFL tiebreaker procedures, which that I don't think that's ever occurred in the history of the modern NFL. So I'm not gonna do um, score predictions and all that. I'm just gonna do like who wins. I don't like. I still don't like that there's an option to tie. I don't because no one's ever gonna predict a tie. I really don't think anyone's gonna predict a tie. All right, but yeah, with that being said, let's get started with the Thursday night game between the Dallas Cowboys and the defending Super Bowl champion, the Philadelphia Eagles. During week one, I'm going to start with like a recap of like the previous season with each team and kind of give you an insight of how I'm making these predictions. So, starting off with the defending champs, the Eagles made the Super Bowl last year, beating on their way. They won the division, took the second overall seed, with a 14-3 record during the season. They would go on to beat the Packers in the wild card game. Let's see. I want to pull up maybe some scores. Yeah. They would go on to beat the Packers in the wild card game 22-10. The Rams in the divisional round 28-22. They would beat the Washington Commanders, their in-division rivals, in the NFC Championship game 55-23. And they would go on to beat my Chiefs in the Super Bowl 40-22. As we all know, they won the championship last year in New Orleans. During the offseason, they did lose a few key players, especially on that defensive line that made my Chiefs' offense suffer nightmares throughout no end because our offensive line sucked during the Super Bowl. But the thing is, I don't know. The Eagles they're not gonna repeat what they did in terms of like record-wise last year, but they're not gonna like drop off the face of the earth. They're way too good to do that. The Cowboys, on the other hand, last year was a wild ride for the Cowboys. Jerry Jones being an issue with like all that. They fired Mike McCarthy at the end of the year after going 7-10 and missing the postseason entirely, finishing third in the NFC East. They got Brian Schottenheimer to replace him over the offseason. They picked up George Pickens in a trade with the Steelers. I think they traded like a third rounder to him. In your dreams, Andrew. We'll see. But yeah, the Cowboys, last year, that was not pretty. And Dak, I will admit that it didn't help that Dak went down during the middle of the season, but they were already struggling with him. I'm not sure how much Cooper Rush could have done. Was he even on the Cowboys last year? I don't even know. But anyways, new season. Let's see. It's the opening night kickoff game. Dallas. Dallas is a tricky team. They could go on to win the division by some wild miracle. They could be in dead last this year. I really don't know. It's going to depend on how well George Pickens goes with the rest of the Dallas offense, and if he's not a problem in the locker room. It also is going to depend on Brian Schottenheimer's coaching style and all that. But week one in Philadelphia, I got to go with the Eagles here. They're way too good to be knocked off in their opening game. And they were on a hot streak, too, last year. The Eagles started the season 2-2. They would finish the regular season out winning 13 of the last 14 and then winning 4 straight to claim their second Super Bowl title. So, this team's going to be out for blood early. But, yeah. Let's go to the Friday game, the first game on the AFC side. It's going to be in Sao Paulo, Brazil, between the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending AFC champions, and the Los Angeles Chargers. So when the schedule came out, I did not like this already, and you'll see why. Brazil last year did not have great field. Did not have a great field. Andrew can account for this because the Eagles went there last year to open off the season against the Packers. I think the Eagles did win that game, but yeah, it's not a great place to play. I'm surprised they still have this game going on. Like, I don't know. I don't know if Mexico would have been any better because I know Mexico also had problems when we faced the Rams back in 2018. That's why that game was moved back to the Memorial Coliseum in LA or whatnot. But the Chiefs last year, they would go 15-2 Yes, you heard me right. 15-2. They would go on to in the postseason. They would get the bye in the past the wild card round. They would beat the Texans 23-14 in the divisional round. They won a classic of an AFC Championship game against the Bills, 32-29. And then obviously we all know, I just said it earlier, they lost to the Eagles 40-22 in the Super Bowl. The thing was though with the Chiefs last year, they had a lot of one-score games. Let's see. They did not score over 30 points the entire year until they played the Bills in the AFC Championship game. That was the first time all year last year that they scored 30 points on offense. That team was heavily carried by the defense, and that O-line, oh god, that O-line, man. That got completely exposed in the Super Bowl. But yeah, they also won 11 one-score games. They were 11-0 in one-score games. They became the first team, along with, I think, the Lions, to win 15 games in a regular season since the 2015 Carolina Panthers. Sorry, them with the Lions were also the first two teams to win 15 games in a 17-game season. I don't know. What was the strength of schedule last year? I don't know, but yeah, Chiefs. They addressed the O-line during the draft. Although they did trade away one of their top O-linemen. I forgot where he went. I think he went to the Bears. And they did address the running back. I think they got a kid out of SMU, if I remember correctly. But yeah, we'll see how that works on offense. Defense should be good as ever. But yeah, meanwhile, the Chargers, their first season under new head coach Jim Harbaugh, went 11-6, making the postseason as a wild card team, but they got their asses handed to by the Texans in the wild card game, 32-12. Just when I thought the Chargers couldn't charge it anymore, they did. So, my apologies for that. We'll see how they handle it in year 2, though. Herbert should be improving. And the AFC West is going to be tight. I feel like it's going to be a tighter division than people think. I still think the Chiefs probably do win the division, but it's going to be a lot tighter of a division than people would expect. But anyways, opening game in Sao Paulo. I do remember my dad saying that it was, do we play Mahomes? And I'll say this for later. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'm going to start off. I'm going to give the Chiefs the win. For whatever reason. I know this isn't technically in Los Angeles, but the Chiefs under Mahomes have not lost the Chargers on the road ever since Mahomes became the starter. I think that continues. They're going to get off to a hot start in week 1 because they're going to have it. They have to have it in week 1. All right, let's get on to some of these Sunday games. I know I was talking quite a while about those 4 teams. I promise it's not going to be that long for each team. I'm just going to go over the homer bias. Okay, listen. The Chargers are going to find a way. They're going to find a way to fuck this up. They're going to find... If there's one team that's going to blow it, it's going to be the Chargers on opening. I'm glad it's not anyone else because I probably would have picked them over the Chiefs if it wasn't the Chargers. I'm going to be flat out honest. In Brazil. I mean, if it was any other team, probably I would have picked the Chiefs still, but it's in Brazil. I don't like the field conditions, but at the same time, you got to remember, the Chargers are also playing on that field. It's not going to be easy for anyone. But anyways, let's get to some of these Sunday matchups. Let's see. Which one do we start off? I think we should just... How do we do this? Do we just go from left to right? I'm also pulling up the actual schedule on my phone because I want to save like Sunday night, Monday night for separate. So yeah, let's do that. Let's start going from left to right. Let's do the Steelers and the Jets. Ooh, this is going to be an interesting week 1 matchup. So the Steelers, they also made the postseason last year, but they aren't considered really a juggernaut of a team. They went 10-7 last year under the weird QB locker room of Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, both of whom are no longer with the Steelers. Wilson went to the Giants, and where did Fields go? He went to the Jets. So that's going to be an interesting. This is going to be an interesting season in Pittsburgh. They got blown out by Baltimore in the wild card game. They started the season out hot. They started out red hot, but then they got cold at the worst possible time, losing to Baltimore 28-14 in the wild card matchup. But yeah, it's gonna be because they got. I think they have Will Howard they drafted, but they also who's their Steelers locker room or the QB room this year? It's also funny because I remember hearing Steelers fans go like, "Oh, please don't draft or please don't pick up Aaron Rodgers." But yeah, this is gonna be an interesting year. Mason Rudolph, they got Mason Rudolph back. That's right, and then they also have Skylar Thompson on the roster. Meanwhile, the Jets. Ooh, oh, I regret last year picking the Jets to win the division. I regret it. I picked them to win the division. They sucked ass. They went 5-12. They did worse than 2 years ago without Aaron Rodgers. Hence why they moved on from him. But yeah, they got Justin Fields now. That defense is still stellar. This is going to be an interesting opening matchup because you don't know how these teams are going to look coming out. But yeah, I think. I mean, it's going to heavily depend on who they go for. I think Rudolph's going to be the starter for the Steelers, Fields for the Jets. I really do believe in Fields. But the problem is, Chicago really didn't help him. New York's not really known for giving their QBs much help. I think the Steelers start off strong on the road in week 1, take this game, and set the tone for what the season's going to look like with Mason Rudolph. I don't know. I thought they were going to be better with Rodgers back. I didn't know his fucking leg was going to fuck him up that badly. I'm sorry. All right, let's move on to the next game. Got the Miami Dolphins and the Indianapolis Colts. So, Miami, they went 8-9 last year. That's second in the AFC East, by the way. And they dealt with injuries all year long. They missed the postseason. If this team can have Tua, Tyreek, and Jalen Waddle healthy, this team's dangerous. But the problem is they aren't ever healthy. Tua doesn't want to wear a fucking Guardian cap for whatever reason, even though he suffers like a concussion every single year. You don't know. But you also, on the other side, you got an equally frustrating team in the Colts. They also went 8-9. The Anthony Richardson situation is not looking good for them right now. You don't know what to expect. I don't think the Dolphins are going to be injured off week 1. If they are, I am so sorry, Miami. But I'm going to go with the Dolphins in week 1. It's going to be interesting this year how the Colts are going to handle their roster, like the quarterback situation there. Because they also have Daniel Jones too. Like it's who's going to win that starting QB battle out there in Indy. You don't know. I don't think even if Jones starts week 1, I don't think they're beating the Dolphins. I really don't. We can't guarantee similar results this season based on what happened for the most part. I know, but yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how this plays out. Like I said, training camp hasn't even started yet. Preseason's nowhere close. We have time, and I'll probably adjust this before the season. But I want to see how close I can get right off the bat. All right, next game we got the Bengals and the Browns. Okay, the Bengals went 9-8. They have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase on offense, but who the hell's helping them? Really, who else do they have? Who else is helping them right now? Come back with an answer when you find one. They missed the postseason, by the way. They finished third in the AFC North, right only in front of the Browns, who, oh god, 3-14. They should be blessed that Deshaun Watson's out for the year, because holy shit, he was terrible. The games he started, and that's going to be an interesting quarterback four-way battle, because you got Joe Flacco, who led the Browns to a postseason appearance 2 years ago. You got who else? Kenny Pickett from the Steelers, or from the Eagles. Actually, he was the backup last year for Jalen Hurts. And then you got your two QB draft picks from this year: Dylan Gabriel from the Oregon Ducks and Shedeur Sanders from the Colorado Buffaloes. I don't know. I think, call me crazy, but I think Pickett wins that for week 1. But I don't know. Flacco did not look great in Indy last year. I don't know if that's because he just wasn't getting with their system on offense, or if it was just pure luck that he just somehow brought the Browns back. I really don't know. But the thing is, and this is probably what cost Cincy last year too, they cannot start the season. For whatever reason, the Bengals just cannot start the season strong. Here, let me go to the Bengals schedule real quick. This is a doable start of the season. I mean, yeah, you got 2 tough games probably right off the bat with the Lions and Packers in weeks 5 and 6. You got 2 toss-ups, but the Browns and Jags? I don't know what the Jags are going to look like, but the Browns should be winnable. But they, for whatever reason, they always drop one of these games at least. And on the road against their Ohio rivals, I think I'm going to go with the Browns. I think they start out strong. They set a different tone of hope this year. That's probably going to go down the toilet, because the Bengals just cannot start the season strong. I don't know. I don't get it. I do not get that. But anyways, next game. Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. We got the Las Vegas Raiders against the New England Patriots. Both teams finished 4-13, completely missing the postseason, finishing last in their respective divisions. What did they do during the offseason? Well, both got new head coaches. The Raiders got Pete Carroll, and the Patriots got Mike Vrabel. They drafted pretty interestingly, too. Ashton Jeanty from Boise State went to the Raiders. And who did the Patriots pick up in the draft? They picked up Will Campbell, 4th overall, out of LSU. This is going to be... This is going to be interesting. Because Mike Vrabel was the coach of Tennessee. He basically revitalized the Tennessee Titans before they fell off the face of the earth. I don't know. I still don't think they should have fired him. I really don't. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen. You better have some energy for tomorrow. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to explain every single team every single time. This is just for week 1, so they get the idea. It's going to go a lot quicker than this once we get past week 1. Raiders, Pete Carroll, Super Bowl winning head coach at Seattle. Revitalized that team. So you got 2 coaches, experienced, they know how to win. And then you got some hope from your draft class this year. So this is going to be an interesting week 1 game. The problem is, I think Drake May is going to be a good quarterback. But on the Raiders side, who's going to be your QB? Who do they have as QB right now? I don't even know. Let me look. Let's see. You got Geno Smith. He did follow Carroll from Seattle. So that's going to be interesting. But your backups still Aiden O'Connell and Carter Bradley. I'm not too sure about that. I don't know. I don't know if I like Geno Smith. I don't know. He had 1 good year in Seattle, but after that, I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes in Vegas, but I'm gonna go with the Patriots to start out the year. I think they get the job done. It's a home game, which is gonna help. So this is a 305 game. So let's go here. Um, Panthers and Jaguars. Okay, Jacksonville went what 4-13, missing the postseason entirely after being competitive the past 2 years. Whoo! They got a new head coach in Liam Noam. They got the second overall pick from the Cleveland Browns to pick up Travis Hunter. That's going to be huge on offense for the Jags. Lawrence is going to have a field day with him. But on the other side, you got the Carolina Panthers, who went 5-12, somehow finishing third when a lot of people last year were thinking that Young was not going to get any better. He did start off really, really badly, but after being benched for like a few games in favor of what was it? Was it Dalton? I think so. Bryce Young picked up this game. He actually started playing pretty decent football, and I'm kind of excited to see how he fares in his third season. So this is going to be an interesting game, if you're up for it. You can if you want, Andrew. But again, these are a lot of games to go through. Because it's like 278, if I remember correctly. Something like that. But anyways, who do I go with week one? These two teams can be pretty good, like wild card type of good, or they could be straight up horrible. This is tough. I think I'm going to go with Carolina here. I think Bryce Young's going to pick up where he left off. I think he's going to have a good game. This is tough because I don't know how good the Jags defense is. Yeah, this is a toss-up game if you ever heard of one. It's 305 games, so let's move over here. This one might be one of the easiest ones to pick. The Cardinals and the Saints. Arizona went 8-9 last year, finishing third in the NFC West. Kyler Murray played every single game last year for the first time in his career. They still got Marvin Harrison Jr. Did they pick anyone up in pretty decent in the draft? Walter Nolan was their first pick in round one. They addressed the defensive side of the ball quite a lot. But yeah, New Orleans though, New Orleans is gonna be a dumpster fire this year. They went 5-12 last year. Derek Carr is officially retired. He's no longer the QB there. So yeah, you're gonna go with Spencer Rattler as your starting quarterback. Oh, in private. Oh, just the Eagles game. Oh, okay. So it's okay when I go over every single game, but it's like, no, I get a kick in the Eagles game. Okay, I see how it is. But yeah, oh god, the Saints are gonna be terrible this year. Oh my god, this is not gonna be a good year for them. I think I might agree with Pika. I think they are gonna get the first overall pick, and I think Arizona's gonna start out strong, get the dub right off the bat. This is gonna be an interesting game though. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Atlanta Falcons. Tampa won the division last year, going 10-7. They lost their wild card game against Washington, 23-20, which if you guys remembered from a post, I actually predicted that game correctly, so I'm a little proud of that. Baker Mayfield has found his form here in Tampa, and they did lose their OC to Jacksonville. Did they pick anyone up good in the draft? Oh yeah, they got a wide receiver out from Ohio State, but I mean, you already got Mike Evans, you got Chris Godwin. Do you really need another wide receiver out there? Meanwhile, in Atlanta, they went 8-9 last year, missing the postseason. Kirk Cousins experiment did not go down well. It really did not. But Penix looks fine right now. I think he's going to be a pretty decent quarterback. It's just we're gonna have to see how well he fares because he's probably gonna get to start the start in week 1 against Tampa. So we'll have to see how that goes. Um, but yeah, ooh, this is gonna be. It's in Atlanta too. Fuck. um, you know what? Atlanta, I think, does have one of the easiest strength of schedules this year. But starting off week 1 against the Bucs is kind of rough. But I do think they get the job done. For what? Something's nagging me. Something's telling me Atlanta's going to get the win in week 1. But we'll have to see how that goes. Next game, we got the New York Giants against the Washington Commanders. Giants went 3-14 last year, missing the postseason entirely. I think did they get like the second overall? No, not the second. It was like the 4th overall pick. Yeah. They would pick up third. They got the 3rd overall pick. They picked up Abdul Carter. That's a good pick by the Giants. Defensive end out of Penn State. But they also picked up in the 1st round Jackson Dart, quarterback, out of Ole Miss. So you got Russell Wilson and you got Dart. So that's going to be an interesting how Dart develops behind Wilson. It's going to be keep an eye on the Giants this year. They might make a little bit of noise. I don't think they're going to be as bad as 3-14 this year. I really don't. Meanwhile, the Washington Commanders, everyone who's a football fan knows this story. They would go on to take a wild card berth at 12-5 after going like 4-13 last year under rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. They would go on to win their wild card game against Tampa, 23-20. They would shock Detroit in the divisional round, 45-31, before getting blown out by the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, 55-23. So, I think Andrew, I know we talked about this in private. The Commanders probably aren't going to be as great because they do have a tougher schedule this year. They did benefit from a weaker schedule last year. But I don't think that's going to stop them in week 1. I think Abdul Carter is going to be great. He's going to get pressure on Daniels. But overall, I'm still questioning a lot of stuff on the Giants roster to really think they're going to take this in week 1. All right. 325 games now. Or 305 games. Let's start with the Titans and Broncos. This is going to be an interesting one. So the Titans finished last season with the number 1 overall pick, finishing 3-14. They would use their 1st overall pick to pick Cam Ward out of Miami. So they got their quarterback of the future. It's going to be interesting. I think Ward looks pretty good. He looked pretty good in college. But is that going to translate to the NFL? Denver's defense, that's a tough ask in week 1. Speaking of Denver, though, they went to the postseason last year. 10-7, a surprise berth under rookie QB Bo Nix and 2nd-year head coach Sean Payton. They would lose to the Bills pretty decisively, 31-7 in the wild card game. We'll have to see how Denver responds this year. This could be a surprise team again, but they also could fall off the face of the earth. We don't know. That matchup for Ward, though, that's going to be the schedule. But the Commanders are better than the Cowboys, better than the Eagles. It's a possibility. Yeah, that is true. Again, I think anyone in the East except probably the Giants, and it would be a long shot for the Cowboys. So you don't know. You really don't know. Going with the Broncos because Titans don't have an offensive line. That is true, yeah. They don't have the offensive line. That's a tough ask in week 1. That defense is going to be kind of scary for the Broncos this year. 49ers and Seahawks. So San Fran was probably the big disappointment of last year. Yes, they did face injuries. But still, 6-11, last place. Eugh, that's not great. I don't think they've really made any significant moves over the offseason so far. They got Mikael Williams as a defensive end out of Georgia as their first round pick this year. But I don't know. They didn't really address much over the offseason, so I guess they're going back with what they had. It's gonna be an interesting year in San Francisco. Meanwhile, in Seattle, they barely missed the postseason at 10-7. They moved on from Geno Smith, but they got Sam Darnold, who had a phenomenal year last year, until like the last two games of his Vikings tenure. Because oh my, those were terrible. Yeah, we'll have to see how well he fares in Seattle. But it's going to be an interesting ride for the Seahawks this year. They still have Drew Lock, which I don't think he's terrible, but he's definitely not like up there. So this is going to be an interesting week 1 matchup. They did move on from DK Metcalf. I almost forgot to mention they moved on from DK. He went to Pittsburgh. But yeah, if they are healthy 49ers, but beating up Seahawks. It's gonna depend. I highly doubt a lot of these teams are gonna be that badly injured in week 1. It's a home game for Seattle. I think the 49ers set the tone. I think they're gonna get a win in week 1 over the division rival, get out to a hot start. It's going to be an interesting year in San Francisco. We'll have to see how that plays out. Houston Texans, LA Rams. This is the other interconference game of week 1. Texans started off last year pretty well, but then they got cold in the middle of the season, and then they kind of turned it on at the end of the year, but still bounced out in the postseason. They would go on to finish 10-7, win the AFC South for the second consecutive year under second-year quarterback. Why am I forgetting his name? C.J. Stroud, that's his name. They would beat the Chargers 32-12 in the wild card before falling to the Chiefs in the divisional round 23-14. This is going to be an interesting game. This is going to be an interesting year for Houston. First off, before I get there. Stroud did not have a strong season in his second year. He really didn't. I think didn't he like double his interception number from last year or from the year before? But yeah, it's gonna be because I think Diggs is gone now. Didn't they move on from Stephon Diggs? Or my I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting how the Texans rebound this year. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Rams, they finished 10-7 last year, winning the division. They would beat the Minnesota Vikings handedly in the wild card game, 27-9, before losing to the Eagles 28-22 in the divisional round. They did not start off last year very strong. I thought they were going to miss the postseason entirely last year, but then they got hot at the end of the year, which I think they did that 2 years ago as well. Cup is gone though this year, so that's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting way of how they handle it. They did pick up Devontae Adams though, so it's going to be pretty interesting how things go. This is tough. Do the Texans start out with a win? Or do the Rams finally start out strong? Oh, it's a home game. I think the Rams win this game. I think people are going to be scared of how they're going to be able to come out of the off season, out of training camp, out of the preseason. And I think they're going to set it straight. They're still in business. and they're still going to be a fearsome team. Last afternoon game of Week 1, it's between the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. Lions started off Week 1 last year, I think, against the Rams of all the people. They went 15-2, just like the Chiefs did last year, but they got bounced in the divisional round after their first round bye from the wild card by the Commanders, 45-13. It's pretty much Super Bowl or bust this year for the Lions. Dan Campbell, he's done an amazing job in Detroit. Don't get me wrong, but they gotta at least get to the Super Bowl this year. Otherwise, Detroit fans are gonna be really, really pissed. Meanwhile, Green Bay, Detroit lost, I think, their OC to the Bears, but I don't think that's gonna affect them that badly. We'll have to see how that plays out, though. Meanwhile, the Packers, they went 11-6, which, of all things, is only good for third last year in the NFC North. They would lose to the Eagles in the wild card game, 22-10. They went wide receiver for the first time in like 20-some years in round 1 when they picked up Matthew Golden. So it's gonna be interesting. They finally addressed the offense in the draft early on. I don't know. Do the Packers take Week 1? This is in Lambeau. You know what? Call me crazy. I'm going the Packers. I think their offense is going to start out hot. I really do. And I don't know if the defense is going to be that strong, even though they're going to get a lot of key players back from injury last year. I, for some reason, think the Detroit offense is going to struggle to start out the year. Just a little bit. Nothing too badly, but enough to lose this game. Sunday Night Football. This is a good Week 1 Sunday Night Football game. Good job, NFL schedule makers. The Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills, a rematch of the divisional round last year. Let's see. Baltimore and Buffalo both won their division. The Bills went 13-4 and the Ravens went 12-5. In their wild card matchups, the Bills crushed the Broncos 31-7, and the Ravens beat the Steelers 28-14. When they met in the divisional round, Buffalo took this game after Mark Andrews dropped a game-time 2-point conversion with like just seconds remaining in the final stretch of the game. Meanwhile, the Bills once again knocked out by the Chiefs, because when they lose, they do it 4 times. I'm sorry, Buffalo fans. They will lose that game 32-29. This is going to be an interesting start to the year. Both teams are going to be pretty much locked and loaded with what they had last year. Do the Ravens get it done in Week 1? They didn't the year before when they had an AFC Championship game rematch against the Chiefs in Week 1 last year. They didn't get it done then. I think I might lean Bills. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills. It's a home game. Orchard Park's going to go crazy. It's going to be an exciting game. And I think the Bills do come out on top again. Because Baltimore, for whatever reason, just... Lamar Jackson can't win big games. Yes, this is the regular season, I get it, but... Buffalo's not going to give them an easy track to get off to a win like Chiefs did last year. It's going to be rough for the Ravens in Week 1. I do like Henry, though. But it's just not going to be enough this time around. Finally, we got the Monday night game for Week 1. We got the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. The Vikings went 14-3 last year, which under normal conditions would be enough for a division crown. But out of the cruel fates, they only got a wild card berth out of it. And they would get crushed by the Rams in the wild card game. They moved on from Sam Darnold with their quarterback coming back, J.J. McCarthy, after suffering a season-ending injury last year, before the season even started. So we'll have to see how he handles the Vikings offense going forward. Meanwhile, the Bears, they disappointed a lot of people last year. They went 5-12, which was last in the otherwise really, really flawless NFC North. It got a new head coach in Ben Johnson. They do anything else? I think outside of that, they put the Pope in. The Chicago put a Pope in the Vatican City. Outside of that, I don't know if they really did anything else with their roster. We'll have to see how Williams comes back in his sophomore year. I hope they address the O-line there, because that was terrible. They were helpless protecting Williams. But I think I'm going to go with Chicago in week 1. The reason is the Vikings, every single year after they have a really good season, they just cannot come back to form a second consecutive good year. And I think it starts here in week 1. I think the head coach is going to give the Bears a strong start, at the very least. Before we continue, I do want to at least read out. I don't want to show it right now, but I will share who has the toughest schedule in the league, like some of the teams with the toughest schedules, and then the teams with the weakest schedules of the year. So the top 5 strongest schedules, the toughest schedules. The first place is the Giants. That's cruel. That's actually cruel. The Giants have the toughest schedule, followed closely by the Bears and Lions. They're tied for second. Fourth is the Eagles, which, welcome to defending your crown season. Is it your first time? No, I'm kidding. And then tied for fifth are 3 teams, the Cowboys, the Packers, and the Vikings. We'll have to see how each of these teams handle the schedule and how that affects going forward. And then the teams with the weakest schedules, the easiest schedules. First place is the 49ers. That's going to help them this year. I really do. I really do think that's going to help them a lot this year. Second is the Saints. That's not going to help them. That team's helpless. Third is the Patriots. Fourth is the Titans. And fifth is a tie between the Panthers and the Cardinals. So we'll have to see how this plays out going forward. But anyways, with that being said, we're done talking about last seasons for each teams. Let's go on to week 2. Thursday Night Football between the Commanders and Packers. From now on, I'm going to be revisiting each week the records at this point and how things are going to, and what my predictions are. So both teams won their game last week, according to my predictions. Washington beat the Giants. Green Bay beat the Lions. I don't know if the Packers are going to win 2 games in a row against tough teams, especially this is a short break for them. I'm going to go with Washington in this game. I think Green Bay put up a fight against Detroit in week 1, and it's going to be wearing them out by the time week 2 rolls around. I think the Commanders take advantage of that, and they're going to win. Moving on to the noon games, we got, let me make sure. I don't think there's any international games this week, but let's see. Yeah, there's none. Bills and Jets. So both teams won last week. Oh, no, the Jets lost to the Steelers. The Bills beat the Ravens. I think I'm going to go with the Bills still. I don't know. I mean, yes, that is putting the Jets in 0-2. But I think it's going to be a lot closer of a game than people expect. I really do. The Patriots and the Dolphins. Both teams, let's see. I think both teams won. Yeah, the Dolphins beat the Colts. Patriots beat the Raiders. I'm going to go with New England in this game. I really do think Vrabel is going to be a huge difference this year. And I'm still concerned about whether the Dolphins are going to stay healthy this year. Let's see. Jaguars and Bengals. This is going to be an interesting game. Do the Bengals lose 2 straight again to start the year? They lost to the Browns in week 1. Jacksonville lost to the Panthers in week 1. I think this time around the Bengals do get the win here. Yes, I know I said the Jaguars could be an interesting team this year, but at the same time, they could also incredibly implode. I think it's going to be a bit more time before Hunter's going to become a real factor. But right now, I think the Bengals are going to get the job done in week 2. Browns and Ravens. Browns won their first game. They beat the Bengals. Ravens lost their first game. They beat the Bills. I still think the Ravens are miles better than the Browns. I don't think this is gonna be a close game at all. Cleveland's still going through a lot of changes. Baltimore's a Super Bowl contender. You get the deal. Noon game. The Los Angeles Rams at the Tennessee Titans. The Titans home opener. Titans lost to the Broncos in week 1. Rams beat the Texans in week 1. I think this is a trap game. I think Cam Ward gets his first win. Yes, that defense is a bit scary for Ward, and he's got to face back-to-back good defense. But I think he's going to get something used to it. And I think the Rams, Pika does bring up a good point. The Rams aren't typically hot to start the year. And I think this is probably a big upset people aren't really expecting. So I'm going to go with the Titans here. Seattle and Pittsburgh. Seattle last week lost their first game to San Francisco, and the Steelers beat the Jets in week 1. This is the Steelers' home opener. Again, does Darnold really produce here? I'm going to go with no. I think the Steelers take this win in week 2, start off the year 2-0 once again. The Cowboys and the Giants. Last week, both teams lost to their divisional rival on the road. This week, I'm going to go with Dallas. I think Dallas is going to be a bit better than the Giants right now. I think it is going to be somewhat of a close game, probably until like the last quarter or so. But I really do think the Cowboys actually did something this offseason. It's not going to be nearly enough to really fix everything, but it's at least a start. 49ers and Saints. This is easy. I'm going with the Niners. I don't even have to look at last week, but I'll show you last week anyway. Niners beat the Seahawks. Saints lost to the Cardinals. Saints are a dumpster fire. 49ers trying to get back on their feet from last year. They're going to take this game. Noon game. Bears and the Lions. Lions aren't losing 2 in a row. Let's be real. They lost to the Packers last week. Bears beat the Vikings last week. They aren't losing 2 in a row to start the year. That's not happening. Sunday afternoon games. Let me make sure the times. We got the Broncos and the Colts. This is going to be an interesting game. Broncos beat the Titans last week. Colts lost to the Dolphins. It's in Indy. This is going to be an interesting game. I think this is I think this could be. Let me see what the Broncos schedule looks like. Denver's schedule does not get easy after this. They got to go to LA, then they host Cincinnati, then they play Philadelphia. I think Denver, especially with an early divisional round game, are going to be looking ahead. And I think the Colts, who really don't have anyone that spectacular after Denver, are going to take advantage of this game. I think the Colts do win this game. Start off 1-1. And currently, right now, it's tied at the top with the Titans. This is the one everyone's been wanting to hear. Especially Andrew, if you're still there. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead, rematch of Super Bowls 57 and 59. The Eagles, during the Chiefs' 2023 season, beat them in Arrowhead as the rematch of the Super Bowl from then. Mahomes is going to come with a vengeance, but the Eagles know and prepared, are ready for the Chiefs as well. Both teams won last week, with the Chiefs winning in LA and the Eagles winning in Dallas. Field conditions in Brazil were a factor in how the Chiefs played, probably. And then, do I go with the Chiefs or do I go with the Eagles? This is tough. I actually don't know. Because one of these teams is going to start off 1-1. Because let me look. Is there anyone really that's ahead? Okay, yeah, the Eagles are going to have a tough schedule to start off the year. Chiefs, on the other hand, they got the Giants and Jags on the road. Yes, they do have Baltimore and Detroit at home. But that atmosphere, that's going to be tough to play in for Philly. They did it before. Here's the thing. The Eagles did it they beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl rematch in the regular season the last time around. I think the Chiefs deal a bit of revenge to them this time around. It's in Arrowhead. I think if it was in Philly, I would have definitely picked the Eagles here. But I think the Chiefs, they start out strong again. You don't know this one streak. I think it's going to be, ironically, a one-possession game. I really do. You don't really know when that's going to end. But I think the Chiefs are right now, I think a lot of people are saying, hey, this team is going to drastically be worse this year on some levels. Some people are going to say they're going to be worse, but I don't know. You might be tripping on that, but I think the Chiefs get it done in week 2. It's an early game. The Eagles aren't. Last year, they didn't start out hot either. This is going to be an interesting game, but I think the Chiefs do get the dub here. Start out the season 2-0, especially with Denver coming after them right now. It's early. It's important to get a vital win here. The Carolina Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals. Both teams won their previous game. The Panthers beating the Jags and the Cardinals beating the Saints. Who starts out 2-0? I'm going to go Arizona starts out 2-0. I think the Cardinals are going to be better. I think this is probably a dark horse team this year. Carolina is going to be good, but they still have probably a year or two at this progression rate before they're really contenders. So we'll have to see. The Sunday night game is between the Falcons and the Vikings. Both teams... No, Atlanta won. Minnesota lost last week. Minnesota lost to Chicago. Atlanta beat Tampa Bay. I think Atlanta starts out 2-0. I think the Vikings... when I said the Vikings are going to be worse, I don't think you realize like how much worse they can get after really good seasons. I do believe in JJ, but I think it's going to take some time before gets on the right path. And then we got 2 Monday night games. We got this is the earlier one, so let's do this one. Tampa Bay and Houston. Oh, one of these teams is going to start out 0-2. Oh, shit. Ooh. Because Tampa lost to Atlanta, Houston lost to LA. I'm going to go with Tampa. I think Tampa's too good. They got too much of an offensive firepower to really be stopped by the Texans. And I'm still concerned about how Stroud's going to perform in year 3. Well, let's see. I was looking at this going with the Eagles. Sorry, detective. You know what? That's fine. That's a toss-up of a game if I've ever seen one. But anyways, last game of week 2, we got the Chargers and the Raiders. One of the teams is going to start at 0-2. Raiders lost to the Patriots. Chargers lost to the Chiefs. I'm going to go with LA here. I like what the Raiders are doing in this offseason, but I don't think it's going to be enough to beat the Chargers this time around. So, yeah. That's all for week 2. You can see the standings over here. And as we predict games, let's go to week 3. The Thursday night game here, Dolphins and the Bills. Dolphins lost last week to the Patriots. Bills beat the Jets last week. It's in Buffalo. I'm going with the Bills still. They're going to go out to a 3-0 start. This team was doubted last year. Now everyone is like all on the Bills train. And I'm hopping right on it. I think the Bills are going to be really good this year. I think they're going to take this game on Thursday night. Do we have any international games? I don't think so. No, we don't. Okay, let's go left to right then. Yeah. Colts and the Titans. Tennessee won the last game against the Rams. Colts beat the Broncos. Both were upsets. Someone's going to start out this year 2-1 from this game. I think it's. Do I go with Tennessee? I'm going to go with Tennessee. Call me crazy. But I think 2 home games right off the bat is going to really help Tennessee out to start off this year. It's going to be definitely interesting. But I still am not sure about that the QB room for the Colts. So I think the Titans get the win here in week 3. Steelers and Patriots. New England lost to, or no, they beat Miami last week to start out 2-0. Pittsburgh's also 2-0, beating the Seahawks last week. I think Pittsburgh goes 3-0 again. I think this is where Vrabel suffers his first loss in New England. I think the Steelers are good, but they're eventually going to run into a wall at some point. But right now, if you look at their first 3 games, these are doable. These first 4 games before their bye are completely doable, and even the Browns game afterwards. New England, this is also doable. It's a really hard to pick a game here, but I think the Steelers have proven that they can start off strong. They're going to start off strong against the Patriots. And yeah, Texans and Jaguars. This is going to be an interesting game. Texans are 0-2 after falling to Tampa Bay last week. Jacksonville is 0-2 after falling to the Bengals last week. So one of these teams is going to start off 0-3, and that team's going to be Jacksonville. Stroud's not losing 3 straight games. I will not believe that for a second if he does. But yeah, after, you also got to think of it this way. Yeah, this is where, after the Tennessee game, this is going to be a tough stretch. This might be a tough stretch, depending on how good these 2 teams are, the Seattle and San Francisco. Jacksonville, oh, God, that's a gauntlet. They got the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Seahawks, and the Rams. So, yeah, it's not going to be easy for the Jags. But you know what? Maybe they might get a win out of that stretch. But this is not a favorable schedule for Jacksonville. Oh, my God. I mean, to start off the year, at least. It probably gets easier down the road. Bengals and Vikings. I almost said Rams. Bengals and Vikings. Bengals beat the Jaguars last week. Vikings, they ended up losing to the Falcons. Bengals on their slow starts, man. I think this is where JJ finally gets his first win of his career. Bengals are going to still be trying to get on their feet a little bit. But yeah. JJ gets his first win. Vikings beat the Bengals. Jets and the Buccaneers. Do I really have the Jets going 0-3? I do. I really do not believe in the Jets this year after last year's fiasco. Tampa's too good as well, especially compared to the Jets. Raiders and Commanders. I think this is an upset. I think the Raiders finally get their first win of the year. This is going to be an upset of a game. I think this is also going to prove that Washington is going to have a task on their hands. They're probably looking forward to that Atlanta game and the Chargers. But yeah, I think the Raiders do take Week 3's game against Commanders. We got the Packers and the Browns. I'm still going Green Bay after last week as well. They just got beat by the Commanders on Thursday night. Browns are still a bit of a mess. Still going with the Pack. Sunday, noon game between the Rams and the Eagles. Eagles are not going 1-2 to start the year. The Rams, again, slow starts. The Eagles did have a bit of a sluggish start last year, but it wasn't that bad. Falcons and Panthers, they're both currently... Okay, Falcons are 2-0. Panthers are 1-1. I'm going with the Panthers here. I like the progression of Bryce Young. And I think it's gonna be enough to beat the Falcons here. Because this division is going to be tight between these three teams. I think probably Tampa does win the division, but we'll have to see how the schedule plays out. 305 games. Start out with the Broncos and the Chargers. Both teams are 1-1. So one of these two teams are going to go 1-2. One of the others is going to go 2-1. I'm going with the who do I go with? I think I'm going to go with LA. It's a tough call, but I do like the Chargers over the Broncos, especially since it's in LA. Yeah. Plus, I think when you look at these schedules too, Chargers, they got to take care of the easies. They got to take care of this schedule here. Broncos are probably looking forward to these two games. So, yeah, I think I got the Chargers winning this game. Saints and Seahawks, because this is a Sunday night game. Saints and Seahawks. I'm still going Seattle. Yeah, the Saints are going to be a dumpster fire this year. Seattle still has got to get their first win, especially with Arizona, Tampa Bay coming up. Yeah, they got to take care of this easy schedule. They do not want to fall 0-3. 49ers and Cardinals in San Francisco. Battle of two 2-0 teams. The Niners, they probably aren't looking forward to anything. Cardinals are maybe to the Seahawks. Both teams won last week with the 49ers beating the Saints, Cardinals beating the Panthers. I think I'm going to go with San Francisco here. I do like the Cardinals' dark horse story, but I do think San Francisco does rebound nicely from last year. Afternoon game, the Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears. Dallas is 1-1. Chicago is 1-1. Who goes 2-1? I'm going Chicago. I really do like the development of what they're doing in this offseason. As Tom Grossi put it, offseason champions back-to-back. It's going to be a close game, don't get me wrong, but I do like the Bears to come out on top in this game. Chiefs and Giants, you're going Kansas City in this one. I don't care if you're the biggest Giants fan in the world. I still got questions about New York. It's going to be I think it's going to be somewhat of a tight game at first, but then the Chiefs are going to run away with it. Yeah. They're going to start off 3-0. Lions and Ravens. Ooh. One of these two teams is going to start off. I think I'm going to go. It's in Baltimore. Who did they play last week? Lions played the Bears. Ravens played the Browns. Both of them had tough week 1 matchups as well. Each team have? What does each team also have on the remaining schedule? Let's see. Yeah, Baltimore's also probably looking ahead to Kansas City as well. I think I'm gonna go with the Lions in this one. This was gonna be an interesting game, but I gotta go with Detroit. This is they really have to play. They really got to get to the Super Bowl this year, and they're not gonna let anyone stand in the way of that. On to week 4 now. Let's see. What's our Thursday night game? Seahawks and Cardinals. I think I'm going to go Arizona here. I'm still questioning what the Seahawks are doing during the offseason. I do like the Cardinals being a dark horse and all that. Yeah. Let's do Sunday games. We got our first international game. I believe this is what is this? The Berlin game? No, is it the Berlin game? Where's this game being taken place? I think this is in Berlin, right? Oh no, this is Dublin. This is the Dublin game. Yeah, this is going to be the early Dublin game between the Vikings and the Steelers. I think Vikings do take this one. Steelers are not going to go on a hot streak. They're not starting off 4-0 this year. Vikings got to get back on track. They do nicely overseas. And now we go to the noon games. Tennessee Titans and the Texans. Houston needs this game. They really do need this game. They're going to beat the Tennessee Titans. there. Let's see. Panthers and the Patriots. Patriots are 2-1. So are the Panthers. I think I'm gonna go Carolina here. They're probably gonna take care of their schedule early on before they start falling apart a little bit. Patriots, I'm still questioning about what we're gonna do outside of the head coach and quarterback, but we'll see how that goes there. Giants and Chargers. Chargers are gonna find a way to choke this game. Giants get their first win of the year. Saints and the Bills. Still going with Buffalo. The Saints are still a dumpster fire. Buffalo's really that good. Lions and the Browns. Detroit is going to get the win here. I'm still questioning what Cleveland's doing in terms of quarterback situation. Lions still trying to achieve their quote-unquote destiny. Noon game between the Eagles and the Buccaneers. This was also like a really low point for the Eagles last year. I'm not going Tampa Bay again. I think Philly does get their win here this time around. It's going to be a tight game, but I think Philly does come out on top. Let's see. Noon game between the Commanders and the Falcons. Washington get this win. I think they need to keep this up. They need to keep the wins up to keep pace with Philly. Let's see. Sunday afternoon games now. Colts and not the Chargers. The Rams. Both teams are currently 1-2, and the Colts will go down to 1-3 after the Rams beat them. 3:05 game between the Jaguars and the 49ers. 49ers, for whatever reason, lose their first game this week. I think this is where Jacksonville finally starts to get some of the pieces together. And San Francisco, I still got questions about them. They did start out strong. They got to take a loss at some point. Who's going to be in the tank bowl? Probably the Saints. I don't know who else is going to be tanking. We'll see. Let's see. Ravens and the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs suffered their first loss this week. The Ravens lost to the Lions last week. They're not losing two in a row to tough teams. I think the Chiefs do lose their first game of the year. It's going to be a tight one. And I think Baltimore does get their revenge from last year. Bears and the Raiders. I think I'm going to go... Ooh, this is a tough game. Bears are 2-1. Raiders are 1-2. It's in Vegas. I'm going to go with the Raiders here. Sunday night game. Packers and the Cowboys. I think Dallas pulls this off. I know it's the Cowboys, and I know it's against Green Bay, but I think Dallas is going to have something going from them early that's going to be different. And I think it is going to be Green Bay losing to Dallas. I think that's like where the points where Cowboys fans start getting cocky again. We got two Monday night games this week. Jets and the Dolphins. Jets are 0-3. Dolphins are 1-2. Put the Jets at 0-4. I got the Dolphins winning this game. Bengals and the Broncos. We got Cincy and Denver at 1-2. Who's going to be off to a slower start? I think it's going to be... Ooh. All right. Do these two teams have anything to look forward to? Denver's got Philly next week. Cincy's got Detroit. Wow. That's rough. I think Denver takes this game. It's going to be in Denver. Altitude's probably going to affect Burrow a little bit. And I think it's going to be enough for the Denver Broncos to win this game. All right, on to week 5, where I think we have our first buys of this week, of the year. Yep, we got Pittsburgh, Chicago, Green Bay, and Atlanta on the bye this week. So, all right. Thursday night game between the 49ers and the Rams. Rams are going to get this win. 49ers, this is where they start to like, are they really back for real? Because they just lost 2 straight games. This is where it finally happens. This is the London game between the the Vikings and the Browns. Jesus, I need to start reading these better. Vikings. This is the Browns would just be coming across the pond. Vikings just finished a game across the pond. I think Vikings do take this game. They're gonna get 2 big international wins against the Steelers and the Browns. Put momentum in their favor. And yeah. Let's see. Noon games. Texans and the Ravens. One of these two teams is going to start out 2-3. The other is going to go to 3-2. Give me the Texans in this game. I think Stroud this week knows he has to prove himself. I think he's going to get it done against Baltimore. Yeah, especially with the bye coming up. They really like to start out hot before the bye. And with them winning 3 straight games, that's the perfect way to do it. Meanwhile, Baltimore's got LA next week. Yeah, I think this is a win for the Texans. Raiders and the Colts. Let's see. We got the Raiders at 2-2, Colts at 1-3. I think I'm liking the Colts a little bit more in this game. It's a home game. It's going to be a close one, but I think it is going to be Indy in this game. We got the Cowboys and the Jets. Dallas just came off a big win against Green Bay. Jets are still looking for their first win. This is the trap game for Dallas. New York gets their first win of the year over Dallas. Denver and Philly. This is why last week's win over Cincy was huge. I still got Philly winning this game against Denver. It's a home. I think if it was in Denver, I probably would have leaned Broncos, but Eagles at home are just way too tough in this situation, especially early on. Start off 4-1 in the year. Dolphins and Panthers. I'm going to go with Miami here. Panthers are not that great to start off 4-1. And Miami is going to get the job done. Try to keep pace with the Bills as much as they can. All right, noon game, Giants and Saints. I think New York gets their second win of the year over New Orleans. This is where the pieces are going to start coming together for the Giants a little bit. All right, afternoon games. 3:05, Titans and the Cardinals. Do the Titans go to 3-2? No, I'm going with Arizona in this game. The Cardinals are probably going to have another one of those years where they start out hot and then they get cold at the end of the year. So I think Arizona does win this game. 3:05 game. Buccaneers and Seahawks. I think Buccaneers are trying to catch Panthers at this point. Seattle, still a lot of questions about them right now. That's how that goes. It's 3:25 games. We got the Commanders and the Chargers. 3-1 Commanders against 2-2 Chargers. Chargers are going to try and keep pace with the Chiefs and beat the Commanders at home. We got the Bengals and the Lions. I think Cincinnati does take this game. They have to have this win to have any chance of trying to get into the postseason. Detroit is going to be caught in the slogfest in the North. Sunday night game, Patriots and the Bills. I'm still going with the Bills. It's at home. They're off to a hot start. They're the only unbeaten team left. Chiefs and the Jaguars. This could be a toss-up. But I'm still going with Kansas City. I think they do handle Travis Hunter nicely on defense. And the offense is going to have just enough to overcome the Jaguars' defense. All right, on to week 6. This week, the Texans and the Vikings are on the bye. Makes sense because the Vikings because they just came back from 2 international games. Thursday night. Why is this hidden? I think it's between the Eagles and the Giants. Dude, wouldn't it be crazy if the Giants won this game? You know what? You know what? I'm going New York here. This is going to drive people crazy, but you got to have some upsets in the season. And you can't really have Philly running away with everything again, nor Kansas City. This would be insane, and I'm loving the hype. I would love to see the Giants beat the Eagles, and I think they will. I think this is probably where like the fun starts to end though for the Giants after this week. Sunday games. We got another London game, I believe, between Denver and New York. Do we have 2 this week, or is it just 1? Yeah, this is just international game. Broncos and the Jets. Denver wins this game. They need to stay in the playoff race. They got to have this win. They're going to get the win. Noon games. Steelers just came off the bye. They play the Browns. They're going to take this game. Chargers and the Dolphins. Both teams are sitting at 3-2, trying to catch their division leaders. I'm going Miami here. Seahawks and Jaguars. Let's see. Both teams are sitting at 1-4. I'm going Jacksonville here. I'm liking the development more here in Jacksonville than in Seattle. Yes, Seattle's 1-5. I get that, but I'm just not sure about Seattle this year. Rams and the Ravens. I'm going Baltimore here. Still trying to catch the Steelers for the division. Cardinals and the Colts. I'm going Indy here. I think this is going to be an upset win over the Cardinals. I can't really have Arizona running away with the division. That's going to be a tight division. Let's see. 49ers and the Bucks. I'm going Tampa Bay. This is going to be an interesting game. I do think the Bucks are better than the Niners right now. So let's see. Cowboys and the Panthers. Let's see. Both teams are. Carolina's 3-2. Dallas is at 2-3. I'm going Dallas here. Let's see. This is a Monday night game, so is this. So let's go to 325 or 305 games. Titans and the Raiders. This is going to be interesting, but I'm going to go with the Titans here. I'm liking what they're doing in Tennessee more than Las Vegas. Patriots and the Saints. I think New Orleans does get their first win of the year here. It's going to be rough, but I do think the Saints finally pull through. Bengals and the Packers. I think the Packers win this game. It's in Lambeau. I know it's against Joe Burrow and all that, but I do like the Packers a bit more here, especially with what they did over the offseason. Noon game, or 3:25 game between the... Oh, this is the Sunday night game between the Lions and the Chiefs. I think... Do the Chiefs fall to 4-2? Yes. I think Detroit does get the win here. And I know it's a little bit counterintuitive because the Chiefs, blah, 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 I'm supposed to be a homer and all that. But I do think Detroit is better than they really are destined to try to at least get to the Super Bowl. Chiefs are going to have a little bit of a down year compared to the 15-2 year last year. But you never know. Bills and the Falcons. I think this is where Bills finally fall. Atlanta trying to keep pace with the Buccaneers. Going to get the win there. This is the rematch between that epic Jaden Daniels Hail Mary pass that basically took the Bears off course. I don't think that's going to happen this time around. I got Chicago winning this game. And let's go to next week. Ravens and Bills are on the bye this week. Thursday night game between the Steelers and the Bengals. Cincinnati gets the win here. They got to have this game to stay in the playoff race. Let's see. Overseas game. We got the Rams and the Jaguars. I think this is the third London game. This is the final London game. Who do I have winning this game? I'm going to go with LA. Let's see. Patriots and Titans. This is going to be an interesting one. I think I'm going to give it to New England. They got to get back on track. Chiefs and the Raiders. I think I don't like the Raiders that much. I'm going with the Chiefs. Why do I have Tennessee in -1? They can't score -1 points. That's funny. Browns hosting the Dolphins. This might be the point where the Dolphins finally start getting hurt again. I think I'm going with the Browns here. Carolina and New York. I'm going with the Jets. I'm going with New York here. They aren't going to be like 1-16. That's ridiculous. Plus, Carolina's going to have to start falling off at some point. New York and Denver. Or no, wait. What's the other new games? Philly and Minnesota. Let's see. I think Philly gets them here. Let's see. New Orleans and Chicago. I'm going with the Bears. Cardinals and Packers. These are always fun games in Arizona. But I'm going to go with Green Bay. They're the more experienced team, the better team. I like them over the Cardinals here. Cowboys, or let's see, 305 games. Colts and the Chargers. I'm going with the Chargers here. Broncos hosting the Giants. Sorry, New York, you're not getting 4 in a row. Texans and the or not, that's a Monday night game. Commanders and the Cowboys. I'm going with Washington here. 49ers hosting the Falcons on Sunday night. I'm going with the Falcons again. I'm still concerned about what San Francisco's doing. They may be good, they may be not. I don't know. We'll see about them. Buccaneers and Lions are the first Monday night game. This is going to be a good one. I'm going with the Lions, though. This is going to be an interesting game. What? Why is it? Okay, there we go. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting game. I think Detroit does take this one, though. And then finally, we got the Texans and the Seahawks. I think Seattle does get this win. They need to get back on the win column this week, and they do so by beating the Texans next week. This time, we got 6 teams on the bye. Jaguars, Raiders, Lions, Cardinals, Rams, and Seahawks. And then with that, let's go to Thursday night's game between the Vikings and the Chargers. Both teams are sitting around 500. Chargers are 4-3. Vikings are 3-3. I'm going with LA here on Thursday night. Sunday, we got the Jets and the Bengals as a noon game. I'm going to go with the Bengals to get themselves back into the playoff race. Browns and the Patriots. I think this is an upset. I think Cleveland does get the job done. I don't like New England that much. So I'm going to go with Cleveland. Let's see. Noon game between the 49ers and Texans. Both teams coming off losses. I think the Texans do get back on track this week at 4-3 now. Bills and the Panthers. This could be an upset. I actually could see this being an upset. Do the Bills have anything looking forward to? They just came off the bye. They got the Chiefs next week. I think the Bills suffer their second straight loss and lose to the Panthers. Dolphins and the Falcons. I think this is going to be a victory for the Falcons. Again, at this point, I think the Dolphins are going to be starting to deal with injuries a lot more. I think the Falcons do take this game. Bears and the Ravens. I'm going Baltimore still. Baltimore getting completely back on track now. Chicago maybe starting to get on a downfall a little bit. Noon game between the Giants and the Eagles. Eagles are not being swept by the Giants this year. Buccaneers and Saints are a 305 game. So let's go over here. Find the first 305 game. Oh, this is the first 305 game. Buccaneers and Saints. Going with Tampa Bay still. Saints are still a dumpster fire as always. Buccaneers are going to be looking good. They gotta keep pace with the Falcons. Titans and Colts. I think Indy does get their revenge this week from week 3, and I think they do take this game. Go to 4-4. Broncos hosting the Cowboys. Both sitting around 500. They both probably need this win, but I'm going to go with Denver to keep pace with the Chiefs and all that. Packers and the Steelers on Sunday night. I'm going to go with the Packers in this game. And then the Chiefs hosting the Commanders on Monday night. I'm going with the Chiefs to take this game because they need this game, especially with Buffalo coming up. They can't really afford to lose 2 straight games. Thursday night. Buys this week are the Browns, Jets, Buccaneers, and Eagles. Thursday night between the Ravens and the Dolphins. I think Baltimore does get the win here. Let's see. Do we have any international games? Nope. All right. Noon games. Denver and Houston. I think Denver. Oh, who wins here? I'm gonna go. Let's see. Do any of these teams have anything looking forward ahead to? Not really for the Texans. What about Denver? Um, not really as much. They do kind of have a brutal way to go through, though. Um, I think I'm gonna go with Houston. They're staying red hot right now. Yeah, and that's gonna keep up the momentum with them. Let's see, Chargers and Titans. I'm going LA here, and then let's see, Colts and Steelers. I'm going Pittsburgh. Let's see, Bears and the Bengals. 4-4 against 4-3. I'm going Cincinnati here. Keep themselves in the playoff race. Let's see. Falcons and the Patriots. I think this is where the Patriots upset the Falcons this week. Noon game between the Panthers and the Packers. I'm going Green Bay here. Vikings and Lions. I'm going Lions. 49ers and the Giants. I think I'm going to go with San Francisco. Let's see. 305 games, 305K. We got the Jaguars and the Raiders. Both not looking very good at the moment, but I'm going to go with Jacksonville in this game. We got Kansas City and Buffalo, 325. We got the other 305 game first. We got the Saints and the Rams. I'm going to LA. Chiefs and the Bills. You know how it goes. Bills always win the regular season matchup between these two clubs. So I'm going to go with the Bills here, especially since it's in Buffalo. Seahawks and the Commanders. I'm going to go with Seattle. I think this is going to be an upset here. I think this is really where it starts to hit the fan that Washington really has a harder schedule this year. Let's see. And then let's see. Next week that's a Monday night game. Oh wait, that was a Sunday night. Okay, Monday night between the Cardinals and the Cowboys. Both teams sitting at like Cowboys at 3-5, Cardinals at 4-3. Um, do I go with Arizona? No, I'm going Dallas. That's a tough pick for me, but I think Dallas does get the win here. They gotta have some momentum going into. And speaking of which, this is the halfway point of the year, the regular season. Let's see how well these guys are going up against each other. Right now, Bills are currently the 1 seed in the AFC. Chiefs are the 2 seed. Texans are the 3 seed. Ravens are the 4. Chargers are the 5. Pittsburgh's the 6. Denver's the 7. Doesn't look like anything new there so far. Very similar to last year. Philly is the 1 seed currently in the NFC. Packers are the 2 seed. Rams are the 3. Falcons are the 4. Lions are the 5. Bucks are the 6. And the Bears are the 7th seed. So we do have 3 NFC teams currently in a playoff position right now. But it's not the Vikings this time. It's the Bears. And we do have Atlanta in the fray, which means Washington currently is sitting on the outside looking in. This is at the point of the season where teams really have to walk into these games, or else they could face elimination. This week we have buys with the Bengals, Titans, Chiefs, and Cowboys. Thursday night game, we got the Raiders and the Broncos. I think I'm gonna go with Vegas here. I really do think this is where Vegas starts to put tempo on and start getting the job done now. We got an international game between the Atlanta Falcons and the Indianapolis Colts. I believe this is a I think this is the Madrid game, if I'm not wrong. No, this is the Berlin game. Um, yeah, this is the Germany game. This this is gonna be tough. International, both teams really needing a win right now. I think I'm gonna go with. No, I'm going Indy. I'm going Indy here. Um, Noon games. We got the Jaguars and the Texans. I think Jacksonville starts sneaking their way back in. I think this Jaguars team is going to be dangerous now, trying to get back into the fray. Fuck the Jayhawks. Um, let's see. We got the Browns and we got the Jets. Both teams not really looking well right now, but I'm going with the Jets here. Bills and the Dolphins. I think Miami does get the revenge this time around. They aren't that bad. Let's see, noon game. Ravens and the Vikings. I think Baltimore does take this game. Noon game between the Patriots and the Buccaneers in Tampa. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers in this game. I think this is a noon game between the Giants and the Bears. I'm going to go with Chicago here. Keep themselves rolling. Let's see. Saints and the Panthers. Let's go with Carolina in this game, especially since it's in Charlotte. 3 this is the Sunday night game. This is probably the Monday night game. 3:05 or the 3 afternoon games. Cardinals and the Seahawks. Seahawks are going to get this win. They need to get back in the win column again. Get some momentum back. They're now 4-5. Look how tight this division is now. You remember Seattle was like 1-4 at one point. Now they're in third place again, just a game and a half behind LA. Speaking of LA, they're going down. They're losing to San Francisco. Detroit and Washington. This is going to be a very interesting game. Washington has to have this game, and they are going to get this game. A Sunday night football game between the Steelers and the Chargers. Both teams really need this game, but I'm going to go with. I think Chargers are going to Charger. I think the Steelers take this game, and then Eagles and the Packers. I think the Packers do take this game. This is not going to be a cakewalk for Philly again. But I think Green Bay, hits their peak here at 7-2. Bye weeks this week are the Colts and Saints. Thursday game, we got the Jets and the Patriots. I'm gonna go with New England here. Let's see. Do we have a international game? We do. We have the Commanders and we have the Dolphins. I think this is the Madrid game. Yep, this is now the Madrid game. I've always wanted to go to Madrid. I'll be for real. So I am a bit jealous of these two teams. Let's see. This is the final international game of the year. So let's see. I think this one goes to the. Ooh, both teams really need this game. I'm going to go with Washington, though. Buccaneers and the Bills. I think Buffalo at 6-3. Tampa at 6-3. I'm going to go with the Bills here. They need to get back. They've won one of their last 4. They need to get back in the win column. I think they get it there. Let's see. Texans and the Titans. I'm going with Houston in this game. Bengals and the Steelers. I'm going with the Bengals here. Keep themselves in the playoff race. Let's see. Jaguars hosting the Chargers. I think Jacksonville gets this win. Noon game. Bears and the Vikings. I'm going with Minnesota here. Panthers hosting the Falcons. Or in Atlanta going against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going with Atlanta here. Green Bay going to New York. I think the Giants pull off the upset here. A shocking upset, to be for certain. Let's see. 3:05 games. We got the Seahawks and the Rams. I'm going LA here. Cardinals hosting the 49ers. I'm going with Arizona here. Get out of my... What? Get out of here. Get out of here. 3:25 game. We got the Chiefs and the Broncos in Denver. The Chiefs have lost here two in the past 2 years. I think that continues. I think Denver does get the win here. Baltimore and Cleveland. I think I'm going to give this one to the Ravens. It's gonna be an interesting game, but I do think Baltimore pulls this off. Sunday Night Football between the Lions and the Eagles. I'm going Detroit. And then Cowboys and the Raiders on Monday night. I'm going with Vegas. I think they do pull off the victory here, push the Cowboys back to 4-6. Week 12, we got 4 teams on the bye. We got Dolphins, Broncos, Chargers, and Commanders on the bye this week. Thursday night game is between the Bills and the Texans. I'm going with Buffalo. I think Houston got the win here last year. I think Buffalo is going to get it this time around. Noon games. Chiefs hosting the Colts. I'm going with Kansas City in this game. Give themselves back in the win column. We got the Patriots going to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. I'm going to go upset. I'm going with the Patriots in this game. Jets and the Ravens on the noon slot. I'm going to go with Baltimore. I was tempted to pick the Jets as an upset, but honestly, I don't know. That seems like a bit of a tall order. Let's see. Sunday noon game between the Steelers and the Bears. Let's go with Chicago. I think the Bears get themselves back in the win column this week. Let's see. Steelers and the Titans. 3-7 Titans against the 4-6 Seahawks. I'm going to Tennessee. Their cold streak's going to come to an end. Jaguars against Arizona. 2 potential dark horses in this game. I'm going with the Cardinals here, though. Noon game between the Vikings and the Packers. I'm going with Green Bay. Actually, no, I'm going to go with Minnesota. I think Minnesota does pull off the upset here. I think this is where the Packers start falling apart a little bit. Lions hosting New York. I think Detroit gets the win here. Atlanta going to New Orleans. I think New Orleans gets their second win of the year because Atlanta's going to start choking now. Philly going to Dallas. This has potential to be an upset game. But I think I think I'm going to go with Dallas. I think this is where Philly's going to get the wake-up call. Hey, this is not a cakewalk again. You got to put it in your A game. I think this is the wake-up call they need. Let's see. I think we got another Sunday afternoon game between the Browns and the Raiders. I'm going Vegas again. They're back up to 5-6. Tampa Bay going to LA as the Sunday night game. I'm going with Tampa. I really do think Tampa's going to be a different team this year. They're going to be a much better team. And then finally, Panthers, 49ers, Monday night. This is going to be a great game. I'm going San Francisco, though, to wrap up Week 12. We're in Week 13. This is the Thanksgiving weekend. As usual, we start off with, I think no teams are on the bye this week, which is great. I love that. New game on Thanksgiving between the Packers and the Lions. Do the Packers lose 2? No, they're not sweeping Detroit. Detroit goes to 9-3. Packers fall to 7-5, losing 3 in a row now. Chiefs, Cowboys on the afternoon slot of Thanksgiving. I'm going with the Chiefs here. They're starting to pick up momentum again. Finally, the night slot of the Thanksgiving slate. Cincinnati going to Baltimore. I'm going with Cincinnati. I think it's going to be an upset here. And then let's see. Now we're into the noon games. Let's see. Jacksonville going to Tennessee. I think I'm going to go with Tennessee, though. Houston hosting Indy. I'm going to go with Houston here. Like the Texans a little more than the Colts. Saints going to Miami. I think the Dolphins pick up their win here, get back to 500. Falcons going to New York to take on the Jets. I think I think Atlanta takes this game. It's going to be a tight one. Browns hosting the 49ers. I'm going to go with San Francisco here. Let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah, Black Friday game. I forgot about this one. Bears going to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. I'm gonna go with Philly. They're not dropping this 500. Cardinals going to Tampa Bay. I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay in this game. Um, the final noon game, I think. Yeah, this is between the Rams and the Panthers. I think Carolina gets back in the win column this week. I'm going with Carolina. Raiders and the Chargers. I'm gonna go with LA in this game. Let's see. This is 3/8/25 game. We got the Bills and the Steelers. I'm going Pittsburgh. They need a win to get back in the playoff. They continue keeping pace in the playoffs. Let's see. This is the Sunday night game. Vikings and Seahawks. We got a pretty decent game. This is the Sam Darnold revenge game against Minnesota. I think he's going to pull through in this game. Seattle gets the win here. Sunday night game between the Broncos and the Commanders. I think Washington gets the win here. Finally, Monday night between the Giants and the Patriots. I'm going to go New England. And suddenly, the Patriots are above 500 after the midway point. This is going to be an interesting year. I think the Patriots probably are doing a lot better right now than they should, but you never know what's going to happen. Let's see. This week we got the Pats, the Panthers, the Giants, and the 49ers on the bye. Thursday night we open with the Cowboys and the Lions. I think do the Lions continue the streak or do the Cowboys start coming back? I think the Cowboys start coming back this week. I think the Cowboys get the revenge from last year, their humiliation against Detroit. They get the win here. We got the Dolphins and the Jets on the noon slate. I'm going with New York. A little bit of an upset there. Noon game between the Ravens and the Steelers. I'm going with Baltimore. Colts going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville always wins against Indy in Jacksonville. Titans and the Browns on the noon slate. I'm going with the Titans in this game. Noon game between the Packers and the Bears. I'm going Green Bay in this game. They're getting revenge from losing the final game of the year against Chicago last year. Vikings hosting the Commanders. I think Washington pulls this one off. Seattle going to Atlanta. I think I'm going to go Falcons in this game. And then we got Tampa hosting New Orleans. I'm going with Tampa Bay in this game. And then finally, it's the afternoon games. We got the Broncos and the Raiders. I'm going to go with the Broncos in this game. Don't think the Raiders are quite there yet. We got the Rams and the Cardinals. I'm going to go with the Rams. I think this is where the Rams really start taking over. I think this is where the Rams finally start getting hot. Bengals and the Bills. This is going to be a really good game. I think the Bengals are going to take it, though. Joe Burrow is going to continue a little bit of dominance over Buffalo, as we've seen in the past. Chiefs hosting the Texans on Sunday night. This is going to be a tight matchup, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs. They're at home. Chargers hosting the Eagles on Monday Night Football. I'm going with the Eagles, though. And let's see, we're through 14 weeks. We got no more buys. We're about 4 games away. At this point, Saints, let's see. I think it's easier to see with this. We got 4 weeks left. Yeah, okay, yeah, this is a lot easier. Okay, here's the cutoff line for the wild card. The top 7 teams on this list go to the playoffs. So right now, the worst team that could still make the postseason would be 7-10. Cleveland is still theoretically in this, but it would need a lot of things to go their way. Let's see. 8-5 Eagles are currently for the wild card. The worst team would mean to be 8-9. That eliminates the Saints, obviously, and the worst division winner would have to be 7-10. No one in the West is that bad yet. So we're now looking at like eliminations, all that. Our team's tanking at this point, whatnot. No more buys. We're into the final home stretch. Let's see. Thursday night football between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. This is a must-win for both teams. They're fighting for the division right now. I'm going with Tampa because Atlanta's not going to sweep this team. Let's see. Chargers going to Kansas City. I think the Chargers do take this game. Gets them back into the playoff hunt. Let's see. Ravens going to Cincinnati. This is a must-win for both teams as well, but I'm going with Cincinnati in this game. Let's see. Bills going to New England. This is going to be an interesting game, but I'm going with Buffalo. Noon slate between the Jets and the Jags. I'm going with New York in this game. Noon slate between the Cardinals and the Texans. I'm going to go with Houston. All right. Browns and the Bears. I'm going to go Chicago. And I think that effectively eliminates Cleveland from postseason contention. Raiders going to Philly. Philly's not losing that game. Let's see. Titans going to San Francisco. San Francisco beats them? I think they do. Yes, they do. They beat the Titans. Washington and New York. I'm going to go with the Giants. I'm going to go with a little bit of an upset here. Lions going to LA. I think the Rams win this game. Panthers going to New Orleans. New Orleans is in the driver's seat for the first overall pick. They're not going to give that up. Let's see. Other afternoon games. Colts and the Seahawks. Both teams really need this game. I think Seattle gets it. Green Bay and Denver. This is going to be an interesting game. Both teams are currently in the playoff hunt. Green Bay trying to track down Detroit for the division. And I do think they win this game. Sunday night game between the Vikings and the Cowboys. 6-7 and 5-8. I think the Vikings win this game. And then the Dolphins going to Pittsburgh on Monday night. I'm going with Pittsburgh in this game. So now at this point, Cleveland's out. New Orleans is out. Let's see. Worst teams still 8-9. Is there anyone that has more? The Giants probably are out, but we'll have to see. Worst team in the postseason right now, also 8-9. 15 seed currently is the Raiders, so they're almost out, but not quite. But they're also eliminated from the division. Is there any team that's punched their ticket into the postseason? That would mean they would have to beat out the 8th seed at the very most. So 8-6, or at the very least, beat the 8th seed out. So the best San Francisco could do is 11-6. No one has 11 wins yet in the NFC. Patriots are 7-7. That means the worst team would have to be 10-7. No one has 10 wins. This is interesting. We're 3 weeks away from the postseason, and as of now, no one has clinched a postseason berth yet. Let's see. Thursday night football between the Rams and the Seahawks. Rams continue their hot streak. Sunday games. This could be a trap game, but I'm going with Kansas City against the Titans. Patriots at Baltimore. I'm going with the Ravens. Bills going to Cleveland. I'm going with the Bills. Noon game between the Chargers and the Cowboys. Dallas needs this game really badly. I think the Chargers are going to find a way to choke this game. Jets go to New Orleans. Still, the Saints are still trying to keep the number 1 overall pick. Well, actually, do the Saints own the first overall pick? I don't even know. Let's see. I think these are Christmas games too. No, they're not. We've not gotten the Christmas games yet. This is a Saturday game. Saturday games, Packers and the Bears. I'm going Chicago this time around. Eagles and Washington. I'm going Washington in this game. Sunday at noon, Vikings and the Giants. I'm going New York here. Let's see, Tampa Bay and Carolina. Yeah, Tampa Bay and Carolina. I think let's go with. I'm going to go Carolina here. I think there's going to be a bit of an upset here. Afternoon games, Jaguars and Broncos. I'm going to go Denver here. They need to stay in the playoff race. Texans hosting the Raiders. I'm going Houston here. This eliminates Las Vegas and clinches the division for Houston. Which is huge for trying to hunt down that number one seed, which is still very much in play. Let's see. 325 between the Steelers and the Lions. I'm going Detroit here. Let's see. 305 between the Falcons and the Cardinals. I'm going Arizona here. Sunday night between the Bengals and the Dolphins. Ooh. I'm going Miami. I think Miami gets a huge win here. Somewhat tries to stay in the playoff race now. And then finally, we got the Colts and the Niners. I'm going with San Francisco. Put themselves at 9-6, keep up with the Rams in the race for the division. Oh my God, this is stressful now. Thursday night, we're in week 17, 2 weeks away from the postseason. Dallas and Washington. I think Washington ends Dallas's hopes here in this game. Chiefs, Lions, and Vikings also play. Oh, this is the noon game of the Christmas slate. Afternoon of the Christmas slate, I'm going with Detroit. And the nightcap, Broncos and the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs take this one, which effectively wins them the division. Saturday, we got a couple of them. We got, let's see, Texans and the Chargers. I think the Chargers win this game. Yeah, the Chargers win this game. The Chargers. Raiders and the Giants. I think Vegas wins this game. Packers hosting the Ravens. I think I'm gonna go Green Bay. No, I'll go Baltimore. And then Arizona and playing Cincinnati. I think Arizona, for whatever reason, wins this game. I cannot explain it. And then finally, we got, let's see, we're on to the we got the Seahawks and the Panthers as the last Saturday game. We got, I think I'm going to go, I think I'll go Carolina. They need this game a lot more. Let's see, finally, we got Jaguars and Colts. Colts are not getting swept by the Jags this year. Let's see. Patriots and the Jets. I'm going New York. Cleveland hosting Pittsburgh. I think Cleveland somehow wins this game. Titans hosting the Saints. Titans get the win here. Buccaneers going to Miami. I think this game goes to the Dolphins. And now there's actually a threat for the Buccaneers next week because they do play Carolina as their finale. Let's see. We got the Bills and the Eagles. think I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm still going Buffalo in this game. It's in Buffalo. It's gonna be a tough game. We got the Bears and the 49ers on Monday night, or not on Monday night, Sunday Night Football. I'm gonna go with Chicago in this game. I do like the Bears a little bit better than the 49ers right now. Monday night, this is a huge game. Rams, Falcons. I'm going Atlanta in this game. I think, does that lock up the division for the Rams? Um, what's their record against San Francisco? No, they split with San Fran. They could still theoretically tie. What's their what would the commons percentage be? I don't know. We'll have to see. So let's see. Let's assume LA loses, San Francisco wins. No, LA locked up the division. Okay. Actually, what's the reason? Common opponent. Okay, yeah. LA's won the division at this point. So they're probably trying to catch the 1 seed, maybe get a higher seed. They still have reasons to play. It all comes down to this, though. We're going to go through each game. Starting on the left. Kansas City going to Oakland, or not Oakland, Las Vegas. They still got something to play for. They win this game. I mean, listen. It's not that I don't like the Vikings being. But I do think the Vikings are going to be respectable. It's just the other three also got really good. That's pretty much my reason for that. Broncos hosting the Chargers. Both teams need this game. I'm going Denver. Now they're in a playoff position. Texans and the Colts. The Texans really can't do any better than a 4 seed, so they're going to rest their starters. Colts win this game. Browns going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati really still needs this game. Going with Cincinnati. Bills need this game against the Jets. I'm going with the Bills. Patriots hosting the Dolphins. I'm gonna go with New England in this game. Baltimore going to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's still gonna find a way to finish above 500 for whatever reason. Tennessee going to Jacksonville. Both teams don't really have much to play for. I think the Titans do win this game though. Let's see. Cardinals going to LA. LA still has something to play for. They win this game. Seattle and San Francisco. I think this is the upset. I think Seattle pulls off the upset, potentially taking the Niners out of the postseason. Vikings going to Green Bay. I think Green Bay needs this win. They can take it. Lions going to Chicago. They need to wrap up the 1 seed. Yeah, this is tough. I think I'm gonna go with the Lions here. Let's see. Saints going to Atlanta. Atlanta needs this game badly. Cowboys going to New York. Take on the Giants. This game really doesn't matter much, but I'm going Dallas. Washington, Philly. Philly's not getting swept. They still lose the division, but they at least guarantee themselves a good playoff position. Finally, the Panthers going to Tampa Bay. I think the Buccaneers take this game. Try wrap up the division. There we have it. These are the final standings. And this is currently, let's start with the draft order. Saints would get the number 1 overall pick. I don't even know if they still own that pick. Browns get the 2nd, Raiders the 3rd, Jaguars the 4th, Giants the 5th, Vikings the 6th, Seattle the 7th, Colts the 8th, Jets get the 9, Titans get the 10, Patriots get the 11, Cardinals get the 12, Dolphins get the 13, Cowboys the 14th, Niners the 15th, Falcons the 16th, Panthers the 17th, and the Denver Broncos, who just missed the postseason, get the 18th. What's the reason for LA making it over Denver? Is it common opponent percentage? Oh, it's the division percentage. Oh. Their win against Kansas City saved them from being eliminated from the postseason. And speaking of the postseason, Your 2-1 seeds, the Lions in the NFC, the Bills in the NFC, both at 12-5. Chiefs are 12-5 as the 2 seed. Buccaneers are 11-6 as the 2 seed. Rams and Ravens are both 11-6 as the 3 seed. Texans are 9-8 as the 4 seed. Washington's 10-7 as the 4 seed. Your wild card teams: the Bengals is the 5th in the AFC with the 10-7 record. Not the Bengals. The Steelers are the 6th with the 9-8 record. Chargers are the last team in with a 9-8 record. Packers are the 5th team in, 10-7. Eagles slide down one to the 6th seed, 10-7. Bears sneak their way in at 9-8 as the final team in. This loss really hurt San Francisco. Had they won this game, they probably what would have happened? They would have been the 6th seed. So yeah, that game was a major insight of how they got knocked out. Which means your wild card matchups are these. So now, this is the fun part. This is the really fun part. Let's predict every single postseason game now. Bengals and the Texans. I doubted Houston last year, and they blew it up in my face, but this is the Bengals this time around. I'm going with Cincinnati in this game. Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Baltimore's winning this game still. Chargers and the Chiefs. Chargers are going to find a way to choke this game. Packers and the Commanders. Oh, this is going to be a doozy of a game. I think Green Bay. I don't think Washington repeats what they did last year. Packers win this game. Eagles and the Rams. I got Philly winning this game. This is going to be an upset over the Rams, who are coming off red hot. But I think the Eagles do have the experience to beat the Rams in this type of game, and they do. Bears and the Buccaneers. I'm going Tampa Bay in this game. I think Bears are still a little bit inexperienced, and I think the Bucs will take advantage of that in this game. So let's move on. The divisional round. This is an exciting divisional round. These would be great divisional round matchups. Let's start with the AFCs, 1 against the 5. I'm gonna go with Buffalo in this game. I think they get the revenge from a few seasons ago where they lost to Joe Burrow in the snow. Chiefs and Ravens. Chiefs are getting the revenge from earlier in the year. Lions and the Eagles. I'm sorry, Andrew. This is where the Eagles are sent packing. Lions are just different. They're built different this year. Packers and the Buccaneers. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. This is going to be an exciting NFC champ. I do like Green Bay's offense, though, but I think Tampa finally gets over the hump this year. This is it. Championship game weekend. Chiefs at the Bills. Buccaneers at the Lions. Let's start with the NFC because I think it's a bit easier to pick. I think Detroit wins this game. Tampa's not built yet for this kind of situation. Detroit is. They're a Super Bowl contender. I think they finally get to the Super Bowl this year. AFC Championship game. Chiefs in Buffalo once again. What happens here? Do the Chiefs get back to the Super Bowl for the 4th straight season? Or do the Bills finally get over the hump? Do they finally make their run to the Super Bowl? I'm sorry. Until the Bills beat Kansas City in the postseason, I'm going Kansas City to reach the Super Bowl. Speaking of the Super Bowl, we're here. This is it. Detroit, Kansas City. These were the 2-1 seeds last year. Oh my goodness, this would be an amazing Super Bowl. Do the Chiefs rebound after last year's distraught in the Super Bowl? Or do the Lions get their first ever Lombardi trophy? Detroit wins the Super Bowl. There is something about this team that is beyond my understanding, but this city would go crazy over a Super Bowl. Everyone in that locker room knows that. They know this is a Super Bowl or bust year. This is Detroit's year to win the Super Bowl. Which means the final bracket looks a little something like this. Oh my goodness. You heard it here though first. Lions win Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara. I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe I mean maybe something looks a little different over here, over here. Maybe I don't know. The Saints march on a run. They're not going to, but it would be crazy if they did. Um, Let me know in the comments or in the chat. This would be an insane postseason though. This would be an insane postseason. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for right now. Because I got to get back to studying a little bit. I needed to take this time off just so I could do something like this. Maybe once the season rolls closer, I'll do this again with like updated like with an updated like um predictions of like how the season will go. But yeah, I think this is gonna do it for the stream. It's a short. It's well, I guess it's not a short one, but something different today. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to share the channel around. It helps me grow. Uno tomorrow with some of the outsiders. I think Mel and Andrew, they said, are gonna be joining. I don't know about Pika yet, but I'm assuming he's gonna say yes. But yeah, that's gonna be it for right now. Um, yeah. With that being said, see you later, peeps. Thanks for watching.